Dear students, the product choice problem and the Stackelberg model are two examples of how firms that move first create what is known as fait accompli, a term which we have considered earlier. Fait accompli. Firm which moves first creates fait accompli that give it an advantage over its competitor. Now, we consider a broader look on the advantage of moving first. We consider a wider look on the advantage of moving first. We also consider what determines which firm goes first. What are the factors which determining which firms goes first? In this context, we focus on the following question. The question is, what action can a firm take to gain advantage in the marketplace? What action a firm can take to gain advantage in the marketplace? For example, how might a firm deter entry by potential competitors? How might a firm deter entry by potential competitors? Or how it can induce existing competitors to raise price or reduce output? Or how it can pursue the competitors to leave the market? These are some of the examples of actions which are beneficial. How to deter entry, how to persuade competitors to raise price and reduce output, or how to persuade the competitors to leave the market altogether. Remember that in the Stackelberg model, the firm which moves first gain an advantage over its competitors by committing a large output. That is, making a commitment. Making a commitment means constraining its future action. Making a commitment means constraining its future behavior is crucial. To see why this commitment is important, that is, constraining its behavior is important. Suppose that firm A, the leader, changes its mind in response to what its competitor B does. A and B. A announces its output first, but changes its mind when its competitor B do something. If B is sure that A will change its decision, then B also commits a large output. B also commits a large output because B knows that A will respond by reducing the announced output. B knows that A will respond by reducing the announced output. So the only way in which A can gain the first mover advantage is by committing itself. Or constraining its future behavior, committing itself. In effect, A constrains B's behavior by constraining its own behavior. A constrains B's behavior by constraining its own behavior. Now, the idea of constraining your own behavior to gain advantage seems paradoxical, but it is not. That is, constraining your behavior to gain advantage seems paradoxical, but it is not. You commit to a large quantity means you constrain your behavior. It is always advantageous, even though it seems paradoxical. Now let us see why this is not paradoxical. We consider the example again. B, A, crispy, sweet, crispy, sweet, crispy sweet, -5, 10, 20, 20, 10, -5, -5. Now, to see that constraining your behavior is not paradoxical, let us consider first the product choice problem. In this example, as we have discussed earlier, the firm which introduces the sweet cereal first will do the best. But the question is, which firm, A or B, introduces the cereal first? Remember this, both firms require some time to gear up production. So each has an incentive to commit itself to sweet. Both firms require some time to gear up production and introduce sweet. So both firms commit itself to sweet. So commit is the crucial factor here. Commit. If A simply announces that it is going to produce sweet, B has little reason to believe that, because B also make the same decision. If A declares that it is going to produce sweet, B will not believe it, and because B can also make the same behavior by announcing its intention to produce it. So A must constrain its behavior in some way to convince B that A has no choice but to introduce sweet. How to convince B? How to commit itself to produce sweet? How to constrain its behavior? One is, A might launch an advertising campaign describing the features of sweet cereal, and in that way it can make its announcement, it can commit and constrain its behavior. Also, A can sign a contract for the forward delivery of a large quantity of sugar so that it can make sweets. So, in either way, the idea is that A commits itself to produce sweet cereal. So, commitment is a strategic move. It will induce B to make a decision that A wants it to make, produce crispy. So if A commits to produce sweets by announcing its intention in the form of advertisement, a contract, etc., then it can induce B to produce only crispy. So A will produce sweet, B crispy. Now, the question is, why can't A simply threatens B by declaring that it will produce sweets even if B also produces sweets? The reason is that B has no reason to believe that the threat is credible. The threat is credible because B has little reason to believe that the threat is credible because B can also make the threat. So, the threat of A is credible, is useful if and only if it is credible. A make a threat, it will become credible if it is committed to produce sweet cereals. So, threats must be credible if and only if it is committed to produce or to produce the declared output, so that the threat is credible, and this requires commitment from the part of firm A, otherwise it is not credible. And in the next class, we will consider a few examples to clarify how threat can be made credible and in which situations the threat is empty, etc., etc.